Hello and welcome to Module 3 of LIBR 104, Public Services for Library Technicians. Let's take a look at the Module 3 checklist. So the first thing you need to do is watch this video, which you're doing. Good job. Then there are two assignments in Module 3. For the first one, you're going to read Chapter 4 in your textbook and an article that's been provided for you. And those are about instruction in the library and specifically information literacy instruction. After you've done the reading, you'll complete the read and respond assignment. That assignment is a combination of review questions, a few of the review questions in Chapter 4, and a summary of the article that you've read about instruction. After that, your next assignment is a screencast of an information literacy lesson that you're going to create and record, and then you'll submit that screencast to YouTube, and then you'll give me the URL for that. I'll go into a little bit more detail toward the end of this lecture about that lesson. Information literacy is often broadly defined as the ability to locate, use, and evaluate information. Your textbook has another definition that fleshes that out a little bit, which I like a lot, saying that it's the ability to identify, access, evaluate, and ethically use information. Another definition that I've heard is that it is the ability to apply critical thinking to an information need. InfoLit is a hot topic these days, especially in higher education. You as information workers, I don't think really need to be told that information literacy is important. In the information age, it's vital for just an educated citizenry, that people are able to figure out what kinds of information they need and then know how to go about getting that information. Also how to evaluate that information, and then how not to break the law in reusing that information or redistributing that information, etc. This chapter is a great introduction to information literacy. I think there are a lot of ways you can apply this in the workplace, and we'll talk about those in just a second. So in educational institutions such as school libraries, colleges, universities, community colleges, etc., information literacy is often a core mission of those institutions. And because of that, they have dedicated staff. And I don't mean that staff's really dedicated. I mean that they have staff whose duty, sole duty or main duty is information literacy and instruction. So for instance, in a college, you'll have an instructional librarian who goes to different classes to teach information literacy subjects, such as how to identify an information need, how to search a database, how to evaluate a website, what copyright is, what fair use is, and other ethics questions in information. In public libraries, you mostly have a situation where your instruction, if there is any, would be on a one-on-one point of use basis. So for instance, someone comes up and says, I really want to understand how to use the catalog. Can you show me how to use the catalog? Or more typically, someone just comes up to the reference desks and asks you a question, and then you will demonstrate or talk aloud as you go about it, and in that way, in an informal way, you're teaching the patron how to use library resources. In public libraries, I also see, at least in my local public library, there are classes, and staff will teach people how to use databases, how to use the catalog, that sort of thing. I also see public libraries getting more into creating tutorials for their resources. So these are definitely things you need to think about regardless of the type of library you're in, because more and more library staff are expected to have these skills to be able to teach and to put together a tutorial that makes sense, etc. So in addition to the informal instruction that you would do one-on-one with a patron at the desk, there are several types of formal instruction. Mostly in an educational institution, but I think a lot of these apply to public libraries or even special libraries. So you could offer orientations in either any kind of library, really, where you show groups of people what kind of resources you have, where they are, how to access them, etc. And then, of course, you can give tours if your library is big enough. Course integrated instruction would be specifically for an educational institution, and this is the holy grail for an instruction librarian. You really want to be able to collaborate with the faculty member and weave information literacy into coursework. That's the ideal. A lot of people feel like that's the best way to teach information literacy because the skills aren't just abstract, they're applied to something that the student's studying. The next kind is what's called the one-shot lecture, which is what most information literacy in higher education ends up being, and that's basically when the teacher or professor says, come in and show my students how to research, and of course they give you 30 minutes to do it, which is completely impossible. So you have to pick and choose and decide what the students really need and just show them that maybe 2 or 3 things. And it's a one shot because you only get one shot. You go in for that 40 minutes, if you're lucky, 50 minutes to an hour, and that's really the only library instruction they're going to get. I'm going to say that the development of teaching aids is another type of formal instruction. Your textbook doesn't do that, doesn't say that, but I really feel like it is. So things like tutorials, guides, or pathfinders, any kind of media or other digital object that you might make, say a game that had something to do with information literacy, would be another, other digital object that you could do. So all of these are types of formal instruction of information literacy, and think about how you might apply that in the workplace. You could be that person that everyone goes to in your job, the person that can teach, the person that can put together a tutorial that makes sense to people and that can teach people, if that interests you. It's something it's a skill that's in high demand, and it might be something for you to think about, a path in a very fulfilling path, really, if it's something that you think you might want to do. Which brings us to the next assignment in Module 3, which is to create a demonstration video using screencasting software. So the screencasting software that is recommended is the Screencast-O-Matic. This is recommended over something like Jing because Screencast-O-Matic will let you make a longer video than a lot of screencasting software. So go with that. What you are to do is demonstrate an advanced search in a database of your choice. Do that to the best of your ability. Pick a database that you have access to through the library at Western Dakota Tech, and do your best to show an advanced search in that database. You'll want to show obviously how to do that, what kind of features are in the database, how you might filter it. Take a look and see what you can do there. If you are completely baffled by that part of the assignment, please let me know and we'll talk you through it. The scenario that you're working with for this tutorial is that there are students in a composition class that need to know how to access scholarly articles for a research paper. So think to yourself, what are the steps they would take to access that database, to do a search, to limit it to scholarly articles? So think that through. I would advise you to write a script or at least an outline of the steps that will help you instead of just kind of doing it on the fly. Please make the video less than 15 minutes, so you have 15 minutes or less to do this in. Keep that in mind. Perfection is the enemy. Go for good enough. If you go for perfection, it will drive you crazy. It will take you many, many hours to get a perfect recording. You do not need to do that. We're not looking for perfection here. What I want you to demonstrate is that you can walk somebody through the process of doing an advanced search in a database. That's the whole purpose of this. Demonstrate your ability to teach someone how to do that. If you have any questions about this assignment, if you have any technical difficulties, please contact me, and you need to do it ASAP, so don't start doing this assignment the day before it's due. It will not end well. So please start this assignment ASAP, as soon as you feel ready to do it. Don't procrastinate. Technology will get you in the end, right? So get started on it as soon as once you've read the chapter and you have a good, pretty good idea of what information literacy is. Ask questions. Please email me if you have any questions about this, and then get started on downloading the software. Make sure you understand how that works. Do a little test run, write out a script, and then record the video. It does not have to be perfect. Let me know how it goes. I'm looking forward to seeing the videos.